Oh, pixel art is definitely making a huge comeback. I've got a lot of pickups this month that I want to talk about. So welcome into the show. I do want to talk about a bunch of game pickups that I've made over the past few months or so. Some that I ordered a couple of months ago that finally showed up. But without further ado, let's talk about it. And first up, I had to pick this up. Gears of War Reloaded. Now, I ended up picking up Gears of War Reloaded because, believe it or not, I never actually played the original Gears. This is one of those franchises that defined the Xbox back in the day. I had the original Xbox, but somehow I just never got around to playing the game. Everyone always talks about how revolutionary it was for cover-based shooters, how iconic the Lancer with the chainsaw bayonet is. So I figured this remastered version just came out. I never played it, all the hype about it. It's the perfect way to finally jump in. And by the way, I told a bunch of my boys, a bunch of the boys on my redacted team, we're all big gamers, of course, and one of my team members used to do huge LAN parties with like 200 people. So he loves this stuff. And we were all like part of our Helldivers 2 team. I said, guys, boys, let's get the band back together. Let's all jump in and play the multiplayer version of Gears of War Reloaded. And my buddy Grim, he was like, absolutely, let's do it. So we're going to do it here in the next few weeks. I can't wait for that. It feels like the right time to see what I missed, experience this sort of gritty campaign, because I guess you can do the campaign in about 8 to 10 hours. I heard Nate the Hate talking about how he was obsessed with this game, played it on the insane mode or whatever it's called, and he beat it in about 10 hours on the most difficult setting. So that's good for me. I'll play it on the normal setting, so I can do the campaign and then I can jump in on the multiplayer version of this, find out why this series became such a big deal. So Gears of War Reloaded, I had to pick up the physical copy of this. Okay, next up, let's grab this off the floor over here. And that is Bitmap Books has just released their 50 greatest indie games of all time and how they changed the world. I'm really excited to tell you about this because I love what Bitmap Books does. I feature them here on the show before. They always put together these gorgeous, high quality books that feel as much like art pieces as they do like reading material. This one is all about celebrating indie games, from the groundbreaking hits that everyone knows to some, hidden gems that people don't have enough love for. And since I've been diving deeper into gaming history lately, I thought that this would be a perfect addition to my shelf. A mix of game history, beautiful artwork, a chance to maybe discover some indies that I missed along the way. And let me just tell you, this is pretty hilarious because I've been playing Blasphemous, which is a game that I've been trying to get on physical for a long time. I saw it at the Southern California Retro Gaming Expo. I think it was there. And it's so difficult to find it on the Nintendo Switch. Complete in box. I mean, it's like over $100 because it's so rare to get that game. So there was a Steam Deck sale. There was a sale on Steam for, I think it was like $3.99 or $2.99. I was like, okay, I'm not one to just waste money. I'm like, okay, $2.99 versus $110 for so I bought it on the Steam Deck and I've been playing it there. And absolutely loving it. But anyway, that's all to say that that's one of the 50 games in here. And by the way, when I first flipped open the book for the very first time, I literally opened it right to that game because I'm playing it right now. Isn't that weird? Like, of all of the games I could have flipped this thick book open to, I opened right up to Blasphemous. But I love to give a description of when they say, and the games that changed the world, they then explain how it changed the world and how it changed gaming. So each of these 50, they give a detailed description of, well, how influential was the game? So I'll have a link in the description. They were kind enough to send this over to me. I love supporting what these guys do. They do an incredible job. So check out, this is a perfect gift, especially the holidays are coming up. If you got a gamer in your life that you think about for a gift, or maybe you want it for yourself, highly recommend the folks at Bitmap Books. They're not sponsoring the video or anything like that. I just love those guys. Okay, next up, here we go. This one's pretty awesome. Here we go. Resident Evil 1.5. Can you guys see that there? Resident Evil 1.5. Wait a second. How in the hell did you get a copy of this legendary game in a physical long box? This is weird, right? Well, this is one from Project Retro Games. And if you don't know Project Retro Games, they specialize in creating these really high quality reproduction versions of games that either never officially released or basically impossible to get your hands on. They put so much work into the packaging and presentation that honestly feels like something that you would have found on a store shelf back in the day. I mean, it's indistinguishable. This looks exactly like a real copy. And I bought so many games from them, and they're just gorgeous. The artwork, the pressing of the disc is beautiful and perfect. So this is going to be on my list to play for Halloween for sure. Now, I grabbed this one of their long box versions of Resident Evil 1.5. For those that don't know about this game, and I didn't know much about it either, Resident Evil 1.5 is kind of legendary. It was the original version of Resident Evil 2 before Capcom scrapped it and then rebuilt the game into what we actually ended up getting in Resident Evil 2. So this is basically that like lost piece of Resident Evil history, preserved in a way that you can actually hold, you could display it, you could put it up on your shelf, and guess what? You can even play the game. So as a huge fan of gaming history, physical media, I had to have this in my collection. And again, I think this is going to be on my Halloween list, to be sure. All right, next up, we've got this little gem on the Switch 2. This is Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma for the Switch 2. And honestly, I've never played a farming sim at all, so this could go one of two ways, right? I might actually hate the game, or I might end up loving it. Be like, wait a minute, Clayton, you're into some cozy games? What the hell happened to you? But hey, they don't always have to be like looter shooters or Resident Evil and killing zombies, right? Sometimes you could just chill out and kind of have an Animal Crossing experience, right? Anyway, what pulled me into this one specifically is because it's one of only the few physical releases for the Switch 2. These are the only 4 games that I currently own on the Switch 2. Mario Kart World, Cyberpunk, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and Guardians of Azuma. That's it so far. So I want to support those developers that are putting the full physical game on the cartridge. The gameplay sounds really unique as well. It's not just farming and building up your town. It also mixes in real-time combat, dungeon crawling, monster taming. People say it's kind of like a Harvest Moon crossed with an action RPG, which sounds pretty wild. So for me, this is kind of a gamble, but one I'm actually excited to give a try to as well. It'll probably sit on my backlog for a little while because I've got a bunch of other, maybe more exciting games that I'm kind of excited about first, in my list. But hey, anyway. Next up, Star Wars Bounty Hunter. Yes, this is from Limited Run Games, and I got 2 different copies because I got one for my son to play on. He's going to play this on his Switch, and this one here I got for the PS5. So I was like, do I give this one to him, or I don't know. In the end, I ended up giving this one to him. So I'm excited to play this game. This one I was really excited to add to the collection because it's such a cult classic from the early 2000s, originally on the GameCube and PS2. Again, in that era where I wasn't really playing video games at all. You play as Jango Fett, which already makes it pretty unique. Instead of being a Jedi, swinging lightsabers around, you're a gritty bounty hunter using jetpacks, dual blasters, flamethrowers, all the gadgets that you'd expect from a Mandalorian. And it's set just before the Attack of the Clones, so the story ties right into the prequel era of Star Wars. Now, I never actually played this one back in the day, so for me, this is going to be a first-time experience. And actually, I have a big flight coming up this weekend, and I might borrow my son's Switch 2 copy, Switch copy, so I can play it on my Switch 2 on the flight. I don't know, but I'm knee-deep in Hollow Knight at the moment, so I don't know. We'll see. I might take a break and just play this game this weekend a little bit. I'm kind of excited to play it. So not only do you get the game preserved on a modern console, but they've also given it this treatment it deserves with an updated visuals, physical package. Looks amazing on the shelf. I love that. I love that artwork too. Isn't that really cool? There we go. It's pretty cool. Okay, next one. I'm personally psyched about this. This is the Castlevania Dominus Collection from Limited Run Games. Yes, I bought quite a few from Limited Run. These were ones I bought like maybe a few months ago even, or maybe even like almost like a year ago, how they go. But I have to say, look, in an era right now where so many they're just not putting games on physical cartridges and discs anymore. And I really, I know Limited Run got hammered quite a bit back in the day. But at the end of the day right now, really, this is a company that's preserving games and putting the full games on cartridges. So, kind of hat tip to them, and I'm still supporting them. So anyway, yeah, Castlevania Dominus Collection. I got the Dawn of Sorrow edition because they had multiple covers of this. And I honestly cannot wait to dive into this for the very first time this Halloween. I've missed these DS era Castlevania games completely. From everything I've heard, they're some of the best in the entire series. They're dark, gothic, full of exploration, and it has that, you know, addictive Metroidvania style gameplay that I absolutely love. Like I said, I'm knee deep in Hollow Knight right now. Limited Run did such an awesome job putting this collection together. Having these games preserved in a physical collection feels huge, and because they were on the 3DS, the way that they enabled on the side of the screen, that dual screen sort of experience is just great. So you don't have to rely on playing it on the 3DS. By the way, I love this idea of loading this up, you know, in October, turn the lights low, just getting lost in that creepy Castlevania atmosphere for hours. That was one of my fondest memories, you know, playing that Castlevania, you know, Symphony of the Night. During the Halloween season, was pouring down rain outside and just kind of getting really cold and getting into that season. So this is one of the most exciting pickups of the bunch because it feels like I'm finally stepping into a piece of gaming history here that I totally skipped back in the day when this originally came out. So this Halloween, it's happening. I couldn't be more excited about it. Okay, next up, we've got this one. Yes, Penny's Big... the lights, sorry. Next up is Penny's Big Breakaway from Limited Run Games. Once again, like, it's supposed to be an incredible game, and Limited Run coming through again, and I'm kind of a sucker for that. This one totally slipped past me when it first came out last year, but I knew I had to circle back and grab this one. It's got that colorful, fast-paced 3D platformer vibe, the kind of gameplay that's right up my alley. You're zipping around, you know, chaining tricks, using Penny's yo-yo for movement and combat. It just feels like a throwback to those classic platforming games that I grew up on, but with a bit of a modern twist, modern controls. And again, I love that Limited Run put out a physical version because this is exactly the type of game I want to have preserved on my shelf for the long run. I missed it the first time it came out when it launched, so I will get to it and I'm going to finally dive into it. I don't think it's a very long game. It just looks like a charming, pretty fun game with a yo-yo. So, you know, what could go wrong there? All right. Hey, you see the video playing behind me here? You see the gameplay behind me? That's exactly what I want to tell you about this game. Yes, Chronicles of the Wolf. Now, the first thing that pulled me into this was its gorgeous pixel art. It's one of those games where every screen looks like it could be like a piece of pixel artwork that you could hang on your wall. And I have to admit, at first I was kind of like on the fence about it because some of the early gameplay clips made the controls look a little stiff. Thought, maybe that's not kind of my speed. But then my buddy Radical Reggie streamed it live, and then seeing him actually play the game completely flipped me around. Watching the combat flow, hearing the music, seeing the atmosphere in motion, I just said to myself, yep, I need to have this game. The story looks pretty cool too. You're stepping into this like dark medieval fantasy world that's like under threat. Your character, the Wolf Knight, basically fighting through like hordes of monsters, uncovering this like deeper mystery about curses and ancient powers. It's got that classic gothic side-scrolling RPG vibe to it, mixed with a lot of tight action gameplay, which is exactly my sweet spot. So between the pixel art, the dark fantasy story, the Reggie giving me that final push, this turned into one of my most exciting pickups. I have a feeling this is one of those games that's going to be rare to get. So if you can get your hands on this now, do it. It's just a gorgeous looking game, and I can't wait to dive into it. That's one of my most exciting pickups. I've got two more that I want to talk about here. Next up, I'm sure you all know about this game. Little boy Otis, Owlboy. Owlboy, the standard edition, I got it on the Nintendo Switch. By the way, I wanted to say something about the Nintendo Switch. I did a whole video on how I believe the Switch 2 has now made the Switch 1 the ultimate collecting console because of backwards compatibility. So the Switch 1 library is now really becoming my favorite library of all time. And I think with all of the games, I mean, there's like, 15,000 games there now. It's just an incredible collection of games. So again, check out that video because I think it makes a lot of sense for what we're seeing. Be able to pick up like old Switch 1 games and they're going to play beautifully on the Switch 2. This one has been on my radar for a while because it's such a beautiful love letter to pixel art. The detail in the characters, the world is just insane. People say it's one of those indie games that really helped put pixel art back on the map of modern gaming. You're flying around as Otis, exploring floating sky islands, solving puzzles, teaming up with companions. It's got that mix of like heartfelt story, classic platforming, which I absolutely love. It just clicks with me. It doesn't seem terribly hard, you know, like you get from like Hollow Knight or maybe like a Ninja Gaiden game or something like that, but maybe it is. I don't know. We'll see. But I can't wait to play it. And by the way, do you see a theme in today's pickups? Almost everything I picked up is like a love letter to pixel art. I guess that's kind of where my heart is right now, going back to that classic look, but with a lot of like modern polish that makes it feel fresh again, with modern controls, makes it more enjoyable and all of that. So Owlboy. And again, keeping with that theme is my final pickup today. And I got this from Super Rare Games, and that is Cyber Shadow. That's right, on the Switch. Got it on Super Rare Games. This one just screams peak retro to me. Everything about it, from the tight side-scrolling ninja action to the absolutely gorgeous pixel art design. It feels like something straight out of the NES or the Master System era, but with all the polish of like a modern indie title. So I love that it's got this sort of fast, challenging gameplay in the style of Ninja Gaiden or Shatterhand from the original, NES, where every jump, every slash matters, precision matters. Really love that with Prince of Persia and the Lost Crown. Just absolute perfect precision platforming. And the art presentation is just beautiful in it. I love that Super Rare put out such a nice physical deluxe edition of this as well. So I can't wait to get to this because this is exactly the type of game that I want to have on my shelf. In fact, I have it displayed on my shelf right now. It's a love letter to retro action games that looks and feels incredible on the Nintendo Switch. Definitely a perfect way to round out this big pixel art haul. So guys, I will ask you, have you guys gotten any new games lately? Any pickups that you want to share? Any that you saw today that you didn't even know about that you're excited to maybe pick up? Or let me know down below, have you played any of the games that I mentioned today in the show? I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. And don't forget, I'll have that link to Bitmap Books down there so you can check out that 50 greatest indie games of all time, because such a beautiful gift, such a beautiful book. So thank you guys for subscribing and being part of the community here. I really appreciate it. So go out there, guys, and play some great games. We'll see you next time.